If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but
Stop! Everybody's talking all this stuff about me. Why don't they just let me live? I don't need permission, make my own decisions. That's my prerogative.
You want to repeat it, Bryce?
I will say that. Okay. Listen to my completely organic story world. My predecessor at work is so bad at documenting things. Like, she has an entire schedule that's just called Saturday. But the reason it's called Saturday is because that was the first thing written in the document.
Wow.
And so because of this,
Saturday, comma, whatever the date is.
No, it didn't even have the date. It was just all kept
At least
Saturday.
the date would make sense because it would be like, this is the schedule for this specific date,
Right.
you know?
So now I am over documenting everything
Right.
for my predecessor in case I get hit by a bus.
Speaking of getting hit by a bus,
Completely organic and not at all.
Completely
Not at
organic
all.
and
That
not set up.
was such a pregnant pause.
4 years of acting.
That was almost a high school pregnancy pause.
yeah. See, high school pregnancy. Oh, that'd be great for Juno.
That would be great for Juno. You're right. Yeah.
But yes, welcome to You're No Fun Anymore, the podcast where we deal with our nostalgia. I'm Randall.
I'm Dana.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Helen.
And hey, on Wednesdays,
We wear pink.
and we
I'm not
actually...
wearing pink. I can go switch and wear pink.
No one is allowed to sit at lunch with us.
No,
No.
you're not.
I'm
You
wearing
can't sit with us.
black.
I'm
also wearing black.
sweatpants. Sweatpants are only on Fridays, right?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, also, you can only have a ponytail one day out of the week, and I guess you chose today.
I did choose today. And then I put it into a messy bun.
I don't think there were rules for buns. I don't know.
I think that would probably fall into the ponytail
I
category.
think so too.
That's fair. If you haven't guessed already, we are discussing
So good.
Mean Girls.
I love it so much. I was so happy.
Or Are You There, God? It's Me, Tina Fey.
Nice.
Yay.
Yay.
To stick with the Judy Blume, I was going to go with Just As Long As You Can't Sit With Us.
I would have gone with Are You There, Tina Fey? It's me, Dana.
She is so
Bryce had a good one. That was The Importance of Being Fetch.
Nice.
Oh, that one's good.
That is really good.
I was also going to go with To All the Girls I've Loathed Before.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
my personal favorite, Gruel Click Tensions.
Wow.
Wow.
No one
I
can
have
say that.
so many
3
titles
times
for
fast.
this.
I know.
Drop Dead Regina Georges.
Nice.
Because this movie is 1/3 of Randall's personality.
Oh God,
The other
yes.
2/3 are Indiana Jones and Star
Yeah.
Wars,
Yay.
which is a really weird personality combo, frankly.
But it
Nice.
explains so much, though. Now that you put it into that recipe,
Does it
I
all
suddenly
click into
have a
place?
deeper understanding of Randall.
Yeah, it makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
do we have a new student with us?
I'm 16. Until today, I was homeschooled. And then it was goodbye, Africa. And hello, high school. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm Janice. This is Damien.
Watch out, new meat coming through.
This map shows the school's central nervous system, the cafeteria. You got your cool Asians, burnouts, jocks, the greatest people you will ever meet, and the worst.
So you've never been to a real school before? Shut up. Shut up.
I didn't say anything. Plastics. Who are the plastics?
They're teen royalty.
That's Karen Smith. She is one of the dumbest girls you will ever meet. I'm kind of psychic. Really? It's like I have ESPN or something. Gretchen Wieners. She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus. And evil takes a human form in Regina George. She knows everything about everyone.
That's why her hair is so big. It's full of secrets.
We want to invite you to have lunch with us.
Regina seems sweet.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Your house is really nice.
I know, right?
Being with the plastics was like leaving the actual world and entering girl world.
Have you seen any guys that you think are cute yet? There's this guy in my calculus class. His name's Aaron Samuels. No. That's Regina's ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriends are off limits. I mean, that is just like the rules of feminism.
I knew how this would be settled in the animal world. But this was girl world. All the fighting had to be sneaky.
Who does she think she is? I invented her.
And on April 30th,
We're gonna do something.
she's not going to take it anymore.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me, but I can't help it that I'm popular.
Love ya.
Mean Girls. Rated PG-13. They're coming April 30th.
Content warning. This selected film may contain scenes depicting the following: implied statutory assault, repeated fantastical violence, homophobic and ableist humor, suggestive dancing, underage drinking, vomiting, word or otherwise, language, bullying, gaslighting, mild innuendo, improper storage of fertility vases, dubious psychic abilities, and none for Gretchen Wieners. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
This is such a like memeable.
Oh,
This
absolutely.
is a movie
Right?
that like created that. Yeah.
Oddly enough, while watching it this time, I hadn't seen it in a few months, or maybe it was no.
VH1 every other week, so it wouldn't be surprising.
Oh no! When I was working in the back of the tech room, I played this movie at least once a day for about 8 months straight.
Wow.
He couldn't find the DVD on the shelf because apparently he reorganizes our DVDs frequently based on like
I do that.
based on
Whatever
theme.
organizational.
Yeah, it's
spaces.
completely arbitrary of how I
Yeah.
feel at the given point in time.
Have you ever done
and
it by
this time-
color?
Sometimes by color, but the problem is some of my DVDs are just those really plain cardboard ones with the black fold spines, and I don't know what to do with those.
Randall fact: Randall doesn't like to take the plastic off of anything, off
No.
the DVDs, off of board games. I swear, if there was still an option, we'd have plastic on the couch.
How do you watch him then?
No, he just slits an opening very carefully so you can slide it out, but the plastic is still there.
I mean, one day when you have like a first generation iPhone that is still in the packaging and is going for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, you're going to be very happy that you still have
Right.
that plastic packaging on there.
Wait, so I know my history with this and the literally hundreds and hundreds of times I've seen this film. I'm curious to see because I don't think
Alex, loved
you
it.
don't you didn't
Alex
you didn't
this is a
watch it
movie
before,
that
have
Alex
you?
has seen and loves.
Oh, you did.
I've seen
Okay.
this several times before. I don't remember the first time I've seen it, but I had seen it dozens of times at the restaurant because it was always on. I think maybe this was the last time that I saw it in full because I usually catch it in bits and pieces on the TV and I'll watch it when it's on. But the last time I saw it in full was when my friends Dina and Jennifer and I were at Dina's ex-boyfriend's house for Diker Lights. It's that like Christmas lights that they do in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
And we went to go see it, but we saw in preparation while we were waiting for the lights to turn on, we watched the movie and ate pizza. And it is a movie that Dina and I quote on a daily basis.
Oh, God,
like
yeah.
we are constantly quoting it to each other.
This is one of those rare movies where usually I'm introducing Alex to some form of media that I'm very excited about.
Like Firefly.
Like Firefly. I think I sat with my nose like 10 inches from her face and was like, do you love it? Do you love it? Is it the best
She
thing
kept
you've ever
turning to me and like waiting for me to smile or laugh. And she'd pause and you'd be like, so do you understand why this happened? And I'm like, I'm trying to watch it. So
This is one of those rare moments where the shoe was on the other foot and Alex would like burst out laughing and she'd be like, isn't that the best? Do you get it?
I love it so much.
Oh, I cackled my way through this one.
He did.
Once again.
What's the one character who's friends with Lindsay Lohan at first, the golf one?
Janice.
Oh, Janice Ian.
Janice Ian. She's like, get it? Janice Ian. Regina said she was a lesbian because she's Lebanese.
Yeah. You know how many years of my life I got and I never got that joke?
It's like a rediscovery. I feel like somebody posted that online recently, and now
I think that was a recent.
Everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
I had seen this movie in the theater.
Yep.
And enjoyed it like a normal person. And then I got sucked into watching it on a near regular basis. Another Randall. This episode is going to be filled with Randall facts. The first time I went home with Randall, he had a Mean Girls poster.
Yeah, the giant Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
Mean
he had a
Girls
giant
poster.
Lindsay Lohan poster over his bed, and
God,
I
Scarface, but it's
questioned how big this red flag was. Like, what kind of mistake that I
I'm
was
not
making?
gonna lie, it's a pretty big red flag.
No, I think it's actually a good flag. Because if it was
Green
like,
flag.
I think it'd be like a red flag if it was like,
it's a curiosity flag.
yeah.
Yellow
It's
flag.
gonna have a sticker on it. It's saying, does he think Lindsay Lohan's boobs are good in the poster? It could go anyway there.
There was so much to unpack. Honestly, there is no reason that this relationship has worked out. None. Zero, none.
No question.
You proved everyone wrong. That's what I love
Sure.
about you too.
I saw it for the first time opening weekend in the theaters with an ex-boyfriend who I'm pretty sure, if I recall, had not the best sense of humor and did not enjoy himself. But then I have seen it, I don't know how many times, not as many times as I saw Scream. but close. I do love this movie. I love Tina Fey. I love Amy Poehler. I love the entire genesis of this creation. So totally on board with this one.
Has anybody seen the musical?
I got back from my vacation too late. I was gonna watch the musical after I watched the movie, because here's a secret. If anybody ever wants to see a Broadway musical on YouTube, search the name of the musical plus slime tutorial, and you will find every Broadway musical that has ever been committed to film. And I don't mean like legally committed to film. I mean like people sneak cameras into theaters. So I was gonna watch it.
Slime tutorial.
I swear to God, look it up. There are over like 600 musicals on YouTube. It was the greatest discovery of 2022 for me.
Oh my God. No, I never got a chance to actually see it. I unfortunately had seen the made-for-TV sequel.
Oh, that was terrible.
Which was not good. Oh, no. I played the video game.
What? There's a video game?
Yeah, it's a stupid iOS game.
Well, now I have to look it up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's, again, when I was watching it this time, I was very acutely aware that social media did not exist.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, oh no, all y'all would be doing this now except just on Twitter,
on TikTok,
and also
on Snapchat.
They'd be so much meaner,
and none of them would ever have felt bad about the burn book situation.
No, because it's just lives online now. Yeah, which was one of those cute things where I was like, oh, look at how weirdly analog this all is.
Also, can we just discuss quickly, because I feel like burn books were a very big theme in teen literature in the 80s. Yeah. Did anybody ever actually have a burn book?
Exist, right? Did not exist.
This is the first time I heard about it.
Yeah, you don't leave physical.
They had the similar
evidence.
thing in Cruel Intentions, but it's like it doesn't
There
exist.
are a ton of young adult books from that time period, and it's always that somebody is keeping a burn book and it gets
somehow
lost,
gets
and
out.
somebody finds it, or someone finds out about it, and then it causes all this drama, and everybody learns more about themselves as people.
I feel like the burn book is like the 90s equivalent of the falsified letter from Shakespearean plays,
right.
You know, where somebody would like write a made up letter based on another character, and
it has that like
hijinks would ensue.
Yeah, very much like the imposter vibe kind of thing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's also weird because
letter occurs actually more in real life than a burn book does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Although now I would say it occurs all the time. It's just it's
online.
social media.
Unless
It's
it's
like a vague, like your vague
catfishing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like the American Pie version where it's their childhood. So it's like a decade earlier, all of this was actually happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Tina Fey had said that she wrote this about her experience in high school in the 80s.
Well, and based on the Queen Bee's book.
Yeah. And well, I don't think she finished it when she pitched it to Lorne Michaels.
Yeah.
So and then Paramount was like, yeah, we bought it. And then she was like, oh shit, I actually have to do this.
And it came out beautiful.
It did. I did want to say, like, since we are talking about the 2000s, we should bring up the year because the year is 2004.
Which we haven't talked about yet, have we?
I think we did 2003.
Yeah, we did 2003.
New year.
This year is actually a pretty banner year for a lot of different things. I would like to lead off with this one, though, because this is just fun. According to a study released this year by the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, teen drinking overall had flatlined basically since the 90s and now into the 2000s, showing a slight uptick, but it really leveled out at a pretty high. Nearly 11 million kids aged 12 to 20 reported drinking in the previous 30 days. That accounts for somewhere between 12 and 20% of the total U.S. alcohol market. The average age this year in 2004 when kids begin to drink is 13.
Yeesh.
That is actually a trend that has continued to climb steadily downward since they began recording this in 1965. I believe that was 17 in 1965, and it's just kept creeping down and down and down every year since.
God, 17 in 1965 was basically like family.
Oh, you're an adult. Yeah,
you're an adult.
you already got like two jobs and a mortgage. Yeah. The largest uptick in the 2000s was in binge drinking in girls from grades 9 through 12.
Equality.
Yes. Actually, for boys, it was starting to go down and the overall trend would kind of creep down. But for girls, basically from 2000 to 2004, showed a increase in binge drinking.
I blame wine coolers. Wine coolers and Zima.
I was going to say there's a lot of
better fake ideas.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that were marketed towards kids. Yeah.
Alco Pops.
92% of alcohol consumed by 12 to 14-year-olds is consumed when they are binging, or as the definition is, having 5 or more drinks at a time.
How many 12-year-olds are casually drinking? Like coming home from school.
Just like, don't unwind.
Yeah.
You just like pour a
They just need a glass of wine to take the edge off.
They had a hard day at the playground.
Social studies was pretty hard. Yeah. So move over college. High school binging is where it's at. Speaking of high school, absolute legend Dick Van Dyke had left high school his senior year in 1944 to join the Army Air Corps, and at the tender age of 78 this year would finally return to his high school and receive his diploma.
Oh, that's cute.
He was actually going there to attend they were giving him some kind of like citation because it's his hometown. He was going to see that the local high school was putting on Bye Bye Birdie, and during that time they gave him the diploma because he never got it.
Can you imagine the pressure of performing Bye Bye Birdie in front of
Dick Van
Dyke? Yeah.
Jesus.
I would start crying.
That's horrible.
But he's a very sweet man. So
I know
I'm sure
he is.
no
I
matter what.
can't even imagine. Like, did anybody see
Like
him
some
on the Masked Singer?
14-year-olds just crying backstage.
Did anyone see Dick Van Dyke on the Masked Singer?
No.
When they took the head off, Nicole Scherzinger started sobbing.
Of course.
Just being in the presence of Dick Van Dyke.
He's amazing.
I grew up watching the Dick
Beloved.
Van Dyke Show. It is one of my first favorite comedy sitcoms from.
And it kind of still holds
Holds
up.
up.
The
No,
Walnut episode is
Walnut
so funny.
episode is so good.
classic.
Oh, it's very funny, but there's some parts of it like,
I mean, as with all
When
things.
they think their son was switched at the hospital. Fuck, I love that episode.
Speaking of awkward, Facebook would be launched this year as well, but it was called The Facebook, based on the Hot or Not shallow image ranking site that was basically
Hot or
copied
Not?
over. Yeah. Remember Hot or Not? Oh, yeah.
I do remember Hot or Not.
Yeah.
This would eventually spread into all Ivy League schools by the end of this year, allowing students the joy of judging and making cruel comments about someone's picture online as opposed to in a physical book.
And then to the world.
Oh, yeah, it's like the digital version of the Burn Book. You're right.
Yeah. Speaking of
Do you
online,
remember when we first started on like Friendster and stuff? You would like leave like reviews of your friends.
God,
Remember that? You'd be like, "Oh, Dana's awesome. She's so gifted and she has a great voice."
The biggest heart attack I ever had was the day they told us that Friendster was going to let you see who had looked at your page.
I know.
I still to this day shudder about getting caught stalking.
Cyber stalking was never
Oh my
safe.
God.
People are like always so nostalgic about MySpace, forgetting that MySpace also caused like anxiety among their peers.
The top 8.
But the top 8.
Yeah.
We're so old.
The top 8. It's like if you didn't make somebody's top 8, you'd be like, the fuck?
speaking of online, though, the graphics interchange format, or GIF. I refuse to call it GIF because
I'm with
you
you.
don't
I'm
call
with
it
you.
graphics.
Correct. GIF all the way.
Becomes public domain this year across the globe. The much maligned format had kind of fallen out of favor as the introduction of Web 2.0 came in with the age of JavaScript and Flash animations and all that stuff. But since it became open to the public, it would find a brand new life and basically become the new language of online youth for the next decade.
I still communicate largely in GIFs.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. This year would also see the great state of Massachusetts,
Woo!
as it
What?
would become the first state to legalize same-sex marriage, which is a welcome bit of good news, as this year would be not exactly great for the LGBTQ community, as the relentless attacks of the GOP theocratic lawmakers to demonize and outlaw this community. This year alone would see the states of Mississippi, Ohio, Michigan, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Georgia either ban or outright revoke existing same-sex marriage.
Well, hey, isn't it great that we've come so far?
Yeah,
I was
right.
just going to say the exact same
All
thing,
that keeps
Dana.
changing.
All
Yeah.
our rights are completely.
Thank goodness that's all behind us now.
Yeah, so while Colorado actually would legalize this year adoption options for gay couples, two of the most odious representatives from that state would repeatedly try to submit their constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage. They did it twice this year, a few times, like a few years before, and then will continue to do so all throughout their remaining careers.
Because that was that time before the Californians took over Colorado. So it was like
Oh, right.
split down the middle with red and blue, and then the Californians overtook
Yeah,
them.
they were trying to ban a lot of things.
At one point in Colorado,
Yeah.
they tried to ban gay people, period.
Yeah, they did. Speaking of bans, across the pond, the Parliament in UK would pass the Hunting Act of 2004, effectively banning fox hunting, despite the House of Lords' objections. Of course, the House of Lords would like to
I
continue
remember
fox
this
hunting.
being a big deal, guys. I was in London at the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
and people were
I
like
remember this too,
real pissed
actually.
off about it.
Angry about this. And I only say effectively because while it bans fox hunting
They still did
in
it.
name only,
Yeah.
it does still allow for traditional drag hunting
Yeah.
or trail hunting, which is where you get on horseback with your dogs and then either chase a scented animal or lay it with fox urine, and then you still get to do it. So kind of banned? I don't know. It's pretty dubious. And speaking of legally dubious foxes,
Womp womp.
Talk about Lindsay Lohan.
yeah. April 30th, 2004. This is also a banner year for Lindsay Lohan. She had 2 huge movies come out this year. Mean Girls bows at number 1 with over 24.4 million against 2 holdovers from the last week, which is Tony Scott's slick, violent remake of Man of Fire, Gender Swap Big reimagining 13 Going on 30.
I love that
I
movie.
love that movie.
Oh, yeah. As well as a whole slew of newcomers, such as golf biopic Bobby Jones' Stroke of Genius, which is featuring Jesus himself, Jim Caviezel.
JC.
Bland rom-com Laws of Attraction.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not very good. Weird clone horror film Godsend. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's Robert De Niro plays like an evil black market cloned guy.
No.
Trying to clone some of Greg Kinnear's like dead child.
Oh, wait, I do remember that.
Yeah, it's not
I
very
used
good.
to watch everything, man.
And Barry Levinson's absolutely bizarre comedy Envy with Ben Stiller and Jack Black. Overall, this film was a huge, huge, huge success. It took over 86 million domestically and over 130 worldwide, which against a $17 million budget is a pretty incredible haul. Also, pretty much this film cemented Lindsay Lohan. This is her first non-Disney film that she had done and turned her into the teen
And
idol.
launched Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, also a lot of people. Amanda Seyfried, this is her first
Yep.
film. She was
Yep.
a teenager
God,
when
she's
she did
so
this.
good. She is perfection.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda Seyfried is so good.
I mean, technically, Veronica Mars launched her the year before, but
I've got ESPN.
That's like a fifth sense.
Nope. Nope. Wrong again. Lindsay Lohan is really good in this.
Really
Yeah,
good in this.
She's fantastic.
When
She's really, really good.
I think everybody, honestly, everybody in this is bringing their A game. It's
Lohan-
really impressive.
Really?
we forget because she screwed it up so badly. But Lindsay Lohan was actually a really
She was a
good
really good
child
actress.
I argue she still is.
So I don't want to like talk any trash about this movie, but did this movie actually set Lindsay Lohan onto like her
No,
downward spiral?
it did not.
No, it was after Herbie Fully Loaded. She was signed on to do Just My Luck, and that was the big failure that she had.
It just seemed like this is the one that kind of like sexualized her
Oh,
and
yeah.
set her
Yes,
on
but
the.
it was in between when the movie was made and when it was released that the stuff started going downhill because she went on an episode of Saturday Night Live and Tina Fey and Amy Poehler came on and
Had like
scolded
a
her for being
Yeah.
too sexy.
right.
Yeah. It's weird because she hosted, I think in like the span of 4 years, she hosted like twice, I think.
Yeah.
But she was also pretty good in that.
She's funny. She's got great chops.
She's funny.
Funny.
I mean, I
Debbie Downer sketch.
the Debbie Downer sketch that everybody died in. I still love her Parent Trap. I think is
Yeah.
like as good as the
That's
original.
solid movie.
That's
Mhm.
where I learned to do Oreos with peanut butter.
That was random.
Changed Alex's life.
Changed my life.
Yeah, it worked. It worked out because the year before this, she had done Freaky Friday, which was kind of like
So
this-
good.
Freaky Friday is another great one.
Right, which was really what everybody goes, oh, we should actually start paying attention. She's not
Yeah.
just like out of the Disney factory.
Yeah.
And she was matching toe to toe with Jamie Lee Curtis. And
Oscar
then,
winner Jamie Lee Curtis. Yay.
absolutely.
Yay!
And then she would go on to do, Mean Girls this year, as well as I think she also had an album out this year too. That
Oh
was
yeah,
her.
she was a singer
So
too.
she had all of like it was just like absolute saturation.
Mhm.
And
That's
you
what
know,
really sent her down that path.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Got
probably
that.
what more than did it because it was also Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Yeah.
And then Mean Girls this year. Next year was Herbie Fully Loaded, which did pretty okay. And she's actually good in that. The script fails her every single step of the way because I don't think they knew what to do. And then she started doing like smaller films, like she was in Bobby, she was in Prairie Hill Companion, and
And
I think
then-
those are good bits. But then when she starts going into like the I Know Who Killed Me and
I was
like,
about
all
to
that other
say
stuff,
when she starts becoming a twin stripper who kills her twin.
yeah, that's what it it kind of goes. But this film,
I think it is like the Hollywood machine kind of chews people
It is.
up.
They
and
built
spit
her
them
up,
out.
and
Oh,
then,
God,
I mean,
yeah.
her parents didn't help. Her parents
Yeah.
are.
No, her
I
parents are
think
nuts.
it's the same thing that happened with Drew Barrymore, but
Yeah.
for Drew,
But Drew Barrymore came back from it in a way that
And is
Lindsay.
now a
Yeah.
delightful eccentric, which I just love.
she like goes out and runs in the rain. and
Delightful
sings.
weirdo.
I feel
Perfect.
like didn't Drew Barrymore at one point try to help her?
Probably.
a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Schrader, the whole reason why I think he did a lot of work with her is because he saw that she's an absolute talent. She's a
really good actor.
an incredible force.
Yeah.
When you see her on camera, she is so natural
Mhm.
and so like there's little bits of moments where it just
She's
I
fun.
love watching her and Rachel McAdams. She was actually really intimidated to be on set because Rachel McAdams, I think, was 25 when she did this. She was like
Right.
definitely one of the older people
Yeah.
on the cast, outside of I think Daniel, who played Damien,
Frank-
Daniel Franzi, yeah,
Prince, yeah.
and oh god, they're all my age. Jesus Christ.
He was just on Drag Race Celebrity Edition.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I love him.
He was the one that led on that story that the original person they hired for the Aaron Samuel roles was fired during the table read. So they had like less than a week to get a new actor to play Aaron Samuels.
Okay.
And they, to this day, have never said who it was. Tina Fey refuses to say. Nobody else in the cast refuses to say. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I have my assumptions, but
Can I be the one?
What if it was Ashton Kutcher?
it could also have been the other one I thought of was Jake Gyllenhaal.
I was going to say, can I throw the grenade in this love fest from Mean Girls? Can I be the one?
Yes.
Of course. Always complete voice of dissent.
Okay, no, I love this movie, but watching this movie this time, I feel like the message and especially the feminism of this movie is so out of date.
Yeah.
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 All right, we're going to get into
Definitely.
it.
A little bit.
So,
I mean,
go ahead, Alex.
go ahead, Dana.
Oh, no. I want you guys to get it out first.
Okay.
I honestly think that there were parts that I feel like are a little outdated, but I still think actually it kind of holds, because it's saying we shouldn't be attacking each other. Like the whole Tina Fey thing at the end where they're like saying that.
Oh, that's the line. That's the line I'm going to fight you about, Alex.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the line is you have to stop calling each other sluts and whores because it makes it easier for guys to call you sluts and whores. And this line bothered me a ton this time. And I sat and thought about it. And then I wrote like a fucking thesis paper about it. And it's because I am bothered by the whole premise of this movie that the price of respectability is goodness. Like you can't call each other sluts and whores because it gives the men the right to call you sluts and whores. But it doesn't. Men shouldn't call you sluts and whores because that's not nice. You shouldn't call each other sluts and whores because also it's not nice. But you shouldn't have to like earn respectability through behavior. And I'm like, that's a message of this movie that I was really bothered by this time watching it.
I don't think though that's a statement about the feminism. I think that's just a statement about humanity. Like we should all be treating each other with respect.
I believe it, but I think feminism for a long time was based on like respectability politics.
Here's my thought.
Okay.
I've been rather.
I love the different voice.
I know.
That went up like 6 octaves.
I have been bothered over the past year or so. I guess it's maybe more than that. By the way that the internet has started to tear down the women that we were looking at as like feminist figures in Hollywood when we were in our 20s. They're coming for Mindy Kaling like nobody's business.
I know, which is ridiculous.
But that's the thing. It's ridiculous. They're coming for her. They're coming for Tina Fey. If they had a chance, I'm sure they'd go for Amy Poehler, but she's behind the scenes most of the time now, so they don't have the opportunity. They came for Amy Schumer when she was doing it. It's exactly what Helen was just saying, that they tear down people because we can't let anybody stay at the place that they need to be because our views change.
Sure.
So I think the way that this should be looked at from a feminism point of view is that when we saw that movie in 2004, it was feminist.
Yep.
And the movies that we saw in the 80s that have feminist tone to them, if we looked at them in 2004, we would have said, well, that's just total crap from a feminist perspective.
And we did when we watched the Chipmunks.
But the thing is, each decade and each movie at the time got us further along in feminist conversation.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, which is why I use the words out of date instead of bad.
It just has its place. And I think in the same way that you have to take that material, you cannot persecute someone for something that they created 20 years ago.
Well, no, that's
I know a lot of people do persecute Tina Fey and everybody now, and I completely agree with what you're saying, Dana. But when I watched this movie this time, it did make me realize how far I had come in my views since I saw this movie.
Yeah.
How my feminism has grown, how like my way of talking and dealing with other and the way I want people to treat me has grown. So again, out of date, not like
And
necessarily
also,
even problematic.
as we're older, I can't help but like think of movies and media like this as like what it's instilling in people, what kind of like messages you take out of it. I'm sure when we were watching it as early 20-year-olds, we weren't like taking lessons out of it. We were just enjoying a fun movie.
We were maybe too old to be taking the lessons from it at that point.
Yes.
But I feel like
the adult characters in it, I love Tina Fey's character. I think she's great. She's so like exhausted with everybody, which is so real, you know? And Amy Poehler's like trying to clutch on to her youth mom.
Oh my God, she
is
would be
just so perfectly like
she was
captured,
made for
you
like
know?
mom Instagram.
In her like juicy
she would be in Real Housewives.
Like,
yeah.
She would be,
she's
Dana.
she's a real housewife. She is exactly that.
Yeah.
And she's perfectly
She's only
captured.
7 years older than Rachel
I know.
Adams.
But I
But I was really disturbed by like how sexualized the young girls are,
yeah.
you know,
That's
like
the point,
I know
think.
that's the whole like point of it is that they are the queen bees and they use, you know, this sexuality and they're kind of like pushed into that you know, position more.
I think so. If you look at like Pretty in Pink,
Mm.
the interactions that happen between the popular girls and Molly Ringwald, you're always supposed to look at the popular girls as the enemy. And I think it was a big leap in 2004 to get us to Mean Girls, where the end of the story isn't the popular girls or the bad guys. It was that we all are our individual people and we're not good or bad. So I don't have a problem. Like, I mean, yes, you're right. They overly sexualize the dressing, but girls did dress like that.
Oh, yeah.
I know they did. You look at the outfits and, it's
I
like
fully
so
admit, I do Slutoween and I do it all the time.
the low rise jeans. I'm like, oh my God, why were they so low? Why
Oh,
was there
that's-
like no
That was
So-
the time, but I also think it was about like let girls be who they are and express themselves the way they want to express themselves.
Yeah.
So I did want to mention, because the outfits in this to me still are like completely outstanding, and that's mostly due to costume designer Mary Jane Ford, who specifically went into this. They scoured and did a lot of research of what high schoolers were wearing at this point in time, but also drawing a lot from pop culture. She specifically mentions like Paris Hilton and like
there were
a
some
lot of that
outfits
kind
that
of
were
like
just so adorable. There was this like handkerchief hem skirt
Yep.
that Lindsay Lohan
when
wears
she,
at one
when
point.
she falls into the garbage chute.
So cute.
I also like really love the outfits of the other girls in the high school, even the ones that the plastic
Just
made
like
fun
in
of.
the hallway.
Like that skirt that the girl
You mean like that's so cute? Where did you get
made
that?
fun of, that was
Yeah.
her
So
mom.
adorable. Where did you get that?
It was so cute. It was so cute and vintage. I loved it.
That's the fuggliest skirt I've ever seen.
I loved it.
And then she
No, that's
dead
the line.
straight looks into the camera. It is fucking gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Rachel McAdams is also good in this. She's so
Great.
good.
She's insanely
And I got to tell you guys,
cruel.
I interviewed Rachel McAdams once, and she is unreal beautiful. Like, if
Yeah,
you-
I'm sure.
like talking to an actual porcelain doll.
She looks like a doll.
She's so pretty.
Speaking
And
of
I
that
love her.
scene, my favorite bits of performances between like Rachel McAdams and Lindsay Lohan in this are those just little tiny facial ticks when
Yeah.
like they give that little like slight smile or a little bit of head and they just go and you know like there's a mile of just nonsense
People.
going on in the back of their heads.
People going on.
And oh yeah, it is absolutely great. And also like I love her performance because she makes it very clear of how she lies as like the person who loves to lie and stir up shit.
Yep.
She takes something that she knows and just extrapolates from that one access point and then just starts adding more and more crazy shit. And that's where you kind of get the Janician lesbian
Lizzie
Lebanese.
Kaplan too. We forgot to mention that.
Oh,
Oh,
Lizzie
Lizzie
Kaplan. Yeah,
Kaplan
it's
is
probably an early role
fantastic.
for Lizzie Kaplan.
Well, this is a big film role
I
for her
think this
because I
was
think she was
right
she
before
was,
Party Down, or maybe right after.
oh no, the Party Down
Same
is like
time?
after because
Way
that's like
after.
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Wait, was it that late?
Yeah. But she was on Freaks and Geeks because she was what's his
right.
name's
Yeah.
Mhm.
girlfriend.
Only for a couple of episodes, though.
Yeah, but I mean that's a pretty big.
Was it though?
I love that show.
I adored it too,
So
but
she
nobody
got to
watched.
make out with Michael Sheen, Master of Sex. Jealous.
I remember she was on Undeclared,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that
yeah.
really short-lived show, which I really expected to
longer
be a
than
lot better.
Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not saying much.
No, it's not.
Although
Um,
watching it this time, Janice struck me as really unhinged in the beginning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She is a little bit.
Like
I
completely.
like that though.
Weirdly, kind
The
of.
beginning, especially like the revenge that she's out to get is like vicious.
And they use some slurs a little too much.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the language on this is very early 2000s
Yeah.
in
Oh.
the sense that it's a little bit fast and loose with a
R
lot of
word.
slurs.
Yeah.
A lot of words that I don't think
Yeah, again, it's just stuff that was okay. in
Just the
2000.
era. Yeah.
yeah, it's still like one of those moments when you like, especially when they're translating and
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah, that was just like, oh, that's unnecessary. Yeah. I
We
mean-
grew up on the Cape, so we used the R word quite frequently as kids, unfortunately.
With that long
But you
A.
used it as AHD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then we would always throw in a wicked in front of
The
it.
one part I do really appreciate, especially with Lizzie Kaplan's performance in this, was yeah, it is kind of a little bit unhinged, but it keeps that same energy all the way through, and I think it starts to translate to everybody else in that sense. And I think she actually starts normalizing herself once everybody starts not basically.
Also, once you kind of like realize how evil Regina George is, you're like, okay, this reaction is warranted,
But
right?
can we also all agree that Janice Ian probably would have come out as not as a lesbian, but as
bi?
Not even bi. Somewhere on the scale. I feel like,
yeah,
especially based on that tuxedo that she wears to the prom. I feel like at
but-
some point, and so she was probably
Gender fluid.
herself. Gender fluid.
She's
Sure, but
gender
like,
fluid.
I'm just based on the reaction of how like she kind of like has that like little knowing like wry smile at the end when Kevin G comes up at the end.
who
which-
only dates women of color.
Hey, I love that line.
It's very 2023.
I love that when he just like lays
Kevin
that out
G.
and it's like perfect because then she,
So
like, Lindsay Lohan goes, okay, great, I gotta go.
I love Kevin G.
Oh God! Apparently, like Amy Poehler had to teach him how to do the rap.
Ugh,
Because
Oh,
he
I
didn't-
want to
he didn't
see
listen.
that.
He
Best
didn't
rapper ever.
he's a great rapper.
right, but he didn't listen to a lot of it, so he didn't know how to like perform in this bit. And I just think it's hilarious.
Where's those
that-
rehearsal tapes? Where's
Right?
those outtakes? I want to see Amy Poehler like
Well, just watch the one
Rap
where she
this.
raps with Sarah Palin. That totally makes up
It's
for it.
really
the
good.
like Bryce and I had talked about this when we watched it this time, where there feels like a cutoff point when the ridiculousness kind of turns into more of a straight like
Yeah, and then the movie drags a little.
right. But if you go to the deleted scenes, a lot of that stuff was trimmed out.
Oh no.
To
He casually says if you go to the deleted scenes as if he didn't sit there and make us watch all the
Watch
deleted scenes
everything.
to this point so that the movie could still stay like perfect and untouched and flawless in his eyes.
I mean, the whole line when she's about to confess, you know, like, oh, and she said the worst thing that an adult can say to you. And then the original line was just Tina Fey in the wide angle edge screen. Your parents are eaten by cannibals. And then she goes, oh, actually, no, the second worst thing. And then it goes into the emotional beat, which is, I'm really disappointed in you. But I get that. Like, you don't want to ruin that emotional moment with a silly joke. You know?
I disagree.
I think it would have been nice. Like some of the best moments in this movie are when she's like,
Oh, the random stuff?
the
Yeah.
random stuff when she was like, on this date he asked me for a pencil, you know,
October 3rd.
on this date
yeah.
he asked me what
Which
date
is
it was.
officially
Yep.
the Mean Girls Day.
Mhm.
Yeah. On
I-
this day, he asked for a pencil.
The glee that I always have with the way that this is done, and a lot of this is because, again, Mark Waters is the director of this. He actually directed her in Freaky Friday as well. He's a very strange, like, he's got some real big hits and a lot of weird misses. I think the first film he directed was The House of Yes, that
love the
adaptation of
House
the
of
play
Yes.
with Parker
Parker
Posey, the
Posey.
really weird,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
That is a trippy
Parker
movie.
Posey and Twin
Yeah.
Fest, right?
And Tori Spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's very, very strange. But then, yeah, it goes on to do like the Disney movie Freaky Friday, and then Mean Girls follows it up. He did that Just Like Heaven, the Reese Witherspoon, Mark Ruffalo movie.
Oh gosh.
Really weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like oddly supernaturally.
What, isn't one of them dead or something?
Wasn't she in the coma and astral projecting?
He did Spiderwick Chronicles. One of my favorites, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Of course.
I love that one. I think it's genuinely hilarious.
It's so trashy, but I love it.
But
It's
hilarious.
so, it might as well be a Hallmark movie, but it's so
Oh,
good.
absolutely. 100%. And then he would do Vampire Academy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very mid-tier director.
Yeah, but he knows what's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's the
it's
problem.
just-
Like a lot of directors who know what's funny get stuck doing mid-tier movies because comedies very rarely are.
yeah. Oh, and then he also did the He's All That.
Oh, no.
That wasn't bad, actually.
Really?
It was watchable.
Really?
It was watchable.
Okay.
It was watchable.
There's a He's All
Okay, I love like how Randall is trying
Okay,
to be
as somebody who sat through the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie,
Matthew
that
Lillard was
out on
in
Netflix.
He's All That. You guys love Matthew Lillard.
I do love that.
That
love
should do it
Matthew
for you.
Lillard.
Oh, I'm on your side here because Randall is trying to be like, oh, I have like, I'm an arbiter of taste. Please.
Yeah.
Please. Absolutely.
Let us remind you of the movie poster.
Oh yeah, I of the trash that
Let
I
us
love.
remind you of like all the trash that you love and
Oh, I absolutely love. I love trash.
Tim Meadows
I
is
love
great in this
trash.
too.
Yum,
I
yum,
just
trash.
want to throw
Tim
his
Meadows
name
is
in there.
awesome.
Tim Meadows is very underrated.
Oh, he's so
He
good.
is such a reliable performer.
He's in The Mandalorian this season, and he's great.
They had to fight to get him on because The Ladies' Man came out, I think, the year before this
Right.
and had tanked.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
And they didn't want to like lard up the cast with SNL because they didn't want it to be an SNL movie.
Right.
Because at that time, that brand is kind of like,
Toxic. Yeah. It's like
thin.
box office poison.
yeah.
That's like when they had the club one.
Night at the Roxbury.
Oh yeah,
Night at the
Night
Roxbury.
But
Those were all terrible movies.
I
Yeah,
gotta
bad
say,
movies.
everybody that showed up from the
Yeah.
SNL
Mhm.
alum were great. Like,
Anna Gasteyer.
oh, she's amazing. in this.
Fuck, I
Just-
love her.
Who are
And
you?
the guy who was the janitor in Scrubs, who I also love.
who is dad,
Who was
yeah.
the
Yep.
dad.
Yeah.
I keep trying to like to throw wrenches in our happy conversation.
Really hard.
Well, okay, so
No, I want her to throw another wrench. Throw the wrench.
Okay.
Do it.
So my wrench, maybe you'll all agree, like the last one, all the characters in this are pretty one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. I'm trying hard. I'm trying to make this a controversial
It's
episode.
high school.
Well-
I
Here's the
don't
thing,
think you
though.
have.
It's high school. There
It's
is
high school. You don't have much of a personality in high school.
This is not this is not a movie where you are required to have multiple dimensions. You're
No.
identified by like Karen is identified by one thing, and
Well,
that's
She's
and
real
even
dumb,
Lindsay
yeah.
Lohan, like she starts as like a nice goody goody person. She ends up as a nice goody goody person. And like her veering along the way
With
was
a better wardrobe.
they tell you that this is what this movie is the second they introduce you to all of the cliques in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
They're like everybody here is defined by one
It's gonna
thing.
fit into their little
Well,
category.
and that's why
But even though Lindsay Lohan ends up in the same place, she affects everyone around her to get to a different place. But they still
they
end up in different
didn't really because
Gina does.
Rita George is still
No, she's not.
like an angry, aggressive person. She just
She's
is
dealing
allowed
with
to
her
be.
anger issues. She's learning how to use her anger in a positive way.
Sure, but she's still just
Gretchen
kind of an
finds
angry
a group
person.
where she can be the leader.
Right.
Karen gets to tell the news with her boobs. This is all great.
That's-
I mean, the one thing Amanda Seyfried always says is that she's kind of cringy about that.
Oh,
scene,
but I
'cause-
love it.
Keep in
Like,
mind, she was like,
when-
she was a teenager when
I
they
know she was
were
a
doing
teenager,
that.
but when she grabs her boob and she was like, "There's like an 80% chance it's raining,"
30. It's only 30% chance.
while it's like pissing down, I can feel it. I can feel it in my boob. I can feel the rain.
I can feel
Um,
it in my boob. I can feel the rain. Should be on a t-shirt for our podcast.
Amanda Seyfried's best part and my favorite shot of all time in this movie is when they're doing the prep for the dance and they're panning over and it's the Pink song that's playing and she's putting the bedazzle like K
around.
and she turns around and it's backwards. She looks down and just has that like, oh yeah,
Oh, it's
look on her
good.
face, and it is absolute treasure.
I
Like,
just love when they're on the phone together and they have that Brady Bunch phone grid
that is
going
an
on.
impressive feat.
It's so good. And Amanda Seyfried's reactions where she like finds out that
Ooh,
Regina
you
is
whore.
like talking shit about her. And she's like,
But that's an example of one of those parts that like it shouldn't have been the part that it turned into. She is just so good at being dumb.
so good.
She made it.
I think she read for Katie and then ended up
Seen her as Katie too.
right. And well, because originally Lindsay Lohan read for the Regina
Gina.
George character,
Which would have made more sense.
but then I mean I could see her being
Yeah.
Regina because if you watch Confessions of a
Absolutely.
Teenage Drama Queen, you could see her doing that, but not with like the pinpoint precise accuracy of evil
Yeah.
that
Regina in real
Regina,
life.
and also like you could see like her being mean, but in like a much more like slick,
This
demure
was
way.
right around the Hillary Duff, Aaron Carter debacle with Lindsay
Mhm.
Lohan, which I don't know if anybody remembers, but it
God,
was
no.
like the most teenageiest teen drama of all time in 2003. And Lindsay Lohan was the Regina George of that situation. Like she would have been
Mhm.
very good as Regina George.
Yeah.
I think it was the casting that they came up with was perfect.
Oh,
She would have
everything. And
she would have been great as
I'm
Regina.
glad Hillary Duff like walked out of this whole time period
The-
intact.
Hillary Duff won out.
and we haven't even talked about the wonderful, absolutely stellar performance of Lacey Chabert.
So good.
Can I do my Lacey Chabert connection real fast?
Gretchen
Yeah.
Okay.
Wieners.
I have this very weird thing with both Lacey
She kind of
Chabert.
looks like you.
Well, here's the problem. Lacey Chabert and Jennifer Love Hewitt
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and Kerry Russell to an extent, but we'll focus on these two, stole my
Right.
career when I was a kid.
Oh.
I've never forgiven them for getting on Star Search the year that I was supposed to get on Star Search. Lacey Chabert was terrible on that show. She was terrible. And she made it through so many weeks of that stupid show. So anytime I see her, I still get mad.
Yeah, well, you'd have to watch a lot of that, like
Party of Five. It's also made very
well, no, now she's doing a lot of those.
she's doing the
like
Hallmark movies now. They're just
Yeah, Hallmark.
fine. That I'm fine with her doing that. But she was admittedly pretty good in this.
She is
She's
phenomenal.
great in this. She's
but
got
just
that like teenage insecurity down perfect, you know?
yeah, the doe eyes, and then immediately going into like the
Where she
like,
just
the-
keeps trying. She just like she goes back for punishment every single
she
time.
reminds me of a lot of like, especially in her reactions and like her exaggerated kind of moments, always reminds me of like Mary Tyler Moore-esque kind of things,
Yeah.
where she's very like
Oh my
bubbly
God.
and agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but then when it gets to that point where she's giving that whole speech about like we should totally stab Caesar, and then it bleeds into her like sad story about hoop earrings,
That was the moment when I had to go, all right.
and
fine.
it's just like without missing a beat goes in from like absolute rage to just crying about the most nonsensical bullshit.
Listen,
Hoop earrings are important. I've got some really great hoop earrings.
White gold hoop earrings, and then biting her lip going like it's like it's so amazingly over the top that again I think everybody in this cast brought their fucking A game.
So good.
Totally.
and-
It's a good cast, like the good mix of people. Even the side characters are really good.
The only thing that I would always honestly the weakest link throughout this tends to be just like the whole love story.
I was
in
about to say,
general.
Aaron Samuels is the weak link.
Aaron Samuels sucks.
Like not against anything that Jonathan Bennett did. Like
You know, he's
I
fine,
think
but he's pointless.
he's
The
great. but
character
There's
isn't-
nothing there.
There's no character
He's-
there, you know?
No, he's literally just
He's a pretty face.
man meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pretty face.
Which I don't know if anybody's seen the new Greta Gerwig trailer, which
He's
I
a
just
Ken.
love all the
Yeah, you're
posters.
right. He is
Yeah,
Ken.
he's just a
Excited.
Ken.
And he's
just
another
a
Ken.
He is Ken.
He's another Ken.
Mhm.
And that's unfortunate because he's got some like great little moments.
I think the other guy, the guy who is now on Blacklist and is like making out with Regina George in the projection room.
Oh,
What's his name?
Shane Omen.
He's a baby in this.
This is his like first big role, and he's in his jockey shorts. He had more personality than the main lead, you know?
I think it's Aaron like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend used to title every episode in their first season Josh is something because she was chasing after this character Josh, and then when she finally got over him, the episode was Josh is irrelevant. Aaron Samuels is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like that was added into the script to give it that, oh, this has to appeal to a certain, you know, if we're talking about the 4-quadrant system, this movie way overperformed with, I think the attendance was like 80% women.
Oh, yeah.
And most of that was under
Poster
the
was
age of
pink.
25.
That tells you all you need to know about who they were marketing to. The poster was bright pink.
Right. And the weird part is that so the two biggest demographics were women under 25 and men over 35, and I'm like, yeah,
and Randall.
that
And
that
all
tracks.
of those men had a Lindsay Lohan is turning 18 counter on their
No. I think it was basically a lot of older gay men and a lot of teenage girls.
and a lot of men that were going to see Lindsay Lohan's boobs.
Maybe, I don't know.
We hung out with those guys. Those guys that did
Ew.
like the counters. We did.
Ew.
And they would have gone to see it for the boobs.
No.
But you
It's
don't
terrible.
see her boobs. You just see kind of like
You do in that
those kind of like
dress she wears to the house party.
Early 2000s.
The one at the party where she throws up.
You know?
By the way, I love that the costume designer is in an interview on Vanity Fair and was talking about how that was a dress that was picked out. So this is supposed to be like she's embarking on her own. She's finally rid of Regina George, and they added the bra straps with the matching hoops. So it's like hot pink metallic hoops with the hot pink bra strap, because that was the kind of thing at the time, because it was risque to show
cool to show your bra.
the strapless dress with the bra straps. But
or you had those clear bra straps. Remember those guys?
Yeah. We're never clear, by the way.
Man, never clear.
Never clear.
But I love that when she trots out there and she threw up on him and he runs away and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And then she just kind of goes, "Call me." Like, just again, like
he's so good.
The one thing I do want to knock this thing for, but yeah, it was just, I think the love story involved in that, I get you need, because they have to be jockeying for something, but I think it's actually like the weakest part.
It is. You're right.
Of the entire script.
You do, like, especially because it hinges on that romance.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter in the end.
She feels such a betrayal when Regina George gets back together with him, and when Regina knows that she's like infatuated with him, and the whole time I'm thinking, but why?
Right.
Why are you so like because upset about this?
Because they're teenage girls.
Because they're teenage girls, and sometimes you
work. You go after the same guy and you blame the other girl. You never blame the guy.
I know.
No,
he's the one that's going from flower to flower.
Yeah.
And my favorite part, though, is the scenes where they're all trying to get him to go to the projection room to see.
Oh my God.
Like, one after another, they're like,
also, how dumb is this guy when he's like, "Oh yeah, pool practice."
Oh my God! Also, a fucking coach making out with kids.
Yeah, we need to get to that. I will hold that up. But like, how dumb is Aaron Samuels that he's like, yeah, swim practice has been relocated
to the
projector booth above the theater, and he's like, all right,
we're gonna do what, like butterfly stroke in the projector booth, like,
and he just goes with it.
Aaron Samuels is not good enough for Katie.
No, he's dumb.
He's not.
He's not good enough for anybody.
He's a senior. He's going to graduate, and she's going to forget about him anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Matter.
He's a
when she makes herself dumb in math for him, it's just like, oh,
it's so painful.
Yeah.
And I do love the voiceover though when he's like,
I was about to say the same thing. Whenever he says something,
like,
he goes,
"Oh, and this is this." No, wrong.
But I just like, it broke my heart because she looks so cute in the beginning with her like flannel shirts and like regular pants, in comparison to the like, now all of a sudden she looks like a runway model. And
she's doing her makeup with Janice Ian in that beauty store where Janice works, and she's like spending too much time like plumping her lips and doing her eyeshadow, I'm like, oh man, girl, you look like 40 suddenly. You know, like you look way too old.
Well, I was
like,
you're fake tan.
That's how you learn how to do it. You overcompensate on the makeup.
That is also what girls did, though.
Line,
you know,
I know you had the line at the chin.
Oh
God, the
line at the chin.
Because you didn't learn how to blend.
No, there was a whole Full House episode on it where DJ Tanner did the same thing.
Lori Loughlin teaches her how to do the makeup so that it looks natural.
Yep.
Oh, also this movie being like outdated feminism. I hated that there could only be one hot girl who likes math. Like,
I know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was that or if it was.
Yeah, and the other one had like not a hot girl who liked math.
I mean, I didn't have a mathletes at my school, but I can't see like the popular girls part.
Okay, I was on Odyssey of the Mind. I'll have you know, and I think I was a hot ticket.
I mean, that whole sequence was just to say, taking this person down physically isn't going to get me anywhere.
Yeah,
and like that's literally the only reason that that's there.
Right, but
they immediately go to the
and it's a weak,
everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of a weak point, but I do like the line when they go, you know, the school is like, who do you pick? And like, we picked the girl too. It's just like, yeah, they know. And like, it's again one of those things of this existing umbrella of patriarchy that just always kind of comes around. Like the guys that sit there and scream, take your top off when they're fighting in the hallway. And it's like,
you have to take the joke to the extreme for it to work. So that girl is going to be comically unattractive, because otherwise the joke doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also like my favorite parts of this is like the two camera stuff when everybody's talking about like Regina George and Katie Heron. And I just love that whole bit where it's like, I saw Katie Heron wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I got army pants and flip-flops because that's entirely what a high schooler would think.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, I thought that was so cool. I'm gonna do that.
Like those little clips where they start talking about Katie and Regina, those are the most accurate to the high school experience of any movie.
Yeah. And it feels like that was the moment in the film where I'm like, okay, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like there should have been more with this, because honestly, you could cut Aaron Samuels out.
Totally.
He just needs to be the impetus of why she hates Regina. But then
he could have gone away.
Janice says it. She says, this isn't even about him anymore. This is about you and her. And then you can like phase him out and just have it between.
Well, because so much of the movie is like about the kind of like anthropology of high school psychology, right? Like it's
a little weird.
It's
like
very
a lot
weird.
Of the,
it's that kind of like fetishized, you know.
That was the thing that came from the book, because the book, the Queen Bee's book, was comparing high school girls to animals in the wild. That's the whole book was about that.
Also not good.
No, but I mean, at the time it was just
comparing people to animals. That's not good, Randall.
No, it was talking about, it wasn't like, it was comparing the social structures in high school, the way that animal packs have social structures. And Tina Fey had to take something from that in order to claim that this movie was based on that book.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty loose ass adaptations. I don't think you need
This is a very loose adaptation of that book.
Yeah.
That's the only thing
absolutely.
that comes from it.
I mean, Hello World War Z, like that is just a completely nonsensical. I think outside of the title and then maybe like a line or two, there's absolutely But with this one, like it strikes me as weird. The whole setup is like, okay, we're zoologists coming from random place in Africa, not even a country, just Africa. Mostly is that to set up where, you know, you have that really awkward moment. It was like, welcome. She's like,
I'm from Michigan.
And she just looks at her and is like,
but Tina Fey is the butt of that joke, not the.
Yes. And that's kind of the point, is that there's an assumed thing. And also oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
Yeah.
You know, and these weird kind of assumptions, but this is also in the era where it's just like the ironic version of this can sometimes still kind of cut back, because it is still really weird that we look at it as like this very.
It's the whole kind of like biological determinism thing, which you know, which is so like outdated and
like the whole alpha beta.
It's like, exactly. It's like that whole kind of like, okay, people have evolved to a point where you can't really like define them in that way, you know, and trying to find that very base level explanation of human behavior, I don't think works.
Yeah. I think overall the message at the heart of it is still solid, but there are some parts of it, especially just the language used.
Oh, also they make statutory rape into a big old joke.
It did bother me that the coach is still there after the discovery is made.
Well, no, they
and
say
then
that
eventually gets kicked out because they were like,
they say he ran away.
Just ran away.
Oh, right, he ran away.
Yeah, because they.
But that line was like, Coach Carl, step away from the underage girls. It's like, what the fuck, movie?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, the fact that the girls are fighting
too,
over making out.
Yeah, like young Asian girls are like fighting over a gross coach.
A gross old
you know?
man. Yeah, it's that's a problem where I'm like, oh, that's a little that's a little sus. I don't approve of any of that. Like even for the joke, I'm like, it's an
outdated joke.
It's not worth it for that joke. Like his whole speech about when they go out to the field and it's like, yeah, you're not missing anything in health class. And then having him deliver that, like, you're all going to get chlamydia and die. All right, grab rubbers. Like, that's all you needed. Like, that was it. And then cut that character completely out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also, there was a lot of things that ended up changing to get the PG-13 rating they were going for, because a lot of it was R. And they actually had to fight for one of them, and one of them was the standing up in the auditorium and talking about is like, I can't help it if I have a heavy flow and a wide set vagina.
God, I love that
and
line.
That was and the MPAA was like, no, that's an R rating, and
fuck you.
They actually fought back and was like, no, there's nothing fucking sexual about that. You literally had Anchorman, who came out last year. He's got like a raging erection as a joke through that, and that like didn't bother you whatsoever. And they were like, all right, and they finally backed down.
Talking about a woman's flow is
I mean, and that was basically what it was.
That vagina part that was the problem,
which is a medical, like that's like
no, I get it. I'm just saying I don't think it was the flow that was the problem. I think it was the vagina that was the problem. It always.
Yeah, but even just that is the whole point. Is that yes, Tim Meadows is not equipped to fucking deal with that. Because I just love his immediate, like, he's staring, he goes, yeah, I can't do this. And just like, also one of my favorite lines is like, I will keep you here all night. You can only keep them here till 4. I will keep you here till 4 without breaking character.
I just love that his hand is inexplicably bandaged. For
Yeah, because he broke his hand before they shot.
That was real.
So they had to come
tunnel
up
surgery.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he had to say
surgery, right?
But he actually did.
so they
hurt his
added that
hand.
whole back and forth. And I love that bit where he's just like, yeah, what'd you do this summer? Because he's obviously into Miss Norbury.
So into her.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
And I love, like, so the principal Duvall was just like having there was like, yeah, carpal tunnel. And she's like, divorce, I win. He goes, yes, you do. And just like weirdly, like it's like
just
that
the whole kind of like we are the few adults in this like
bizarre
menagerie
child.
of hormonal students, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
As
like,
when they
yep,
add
okay.
them
Well,
from
and I think it's
yeah.
also just because they're so like deadpan
Yeah.
in how adult they are.
They're so tired. You can tell how tired they are.
Poor Tina Fey has to have a second job for her because of her divorce.
Yeah,
3 jobs.
I mean,
Three
I had a
jobs.
4th grade teacher who bartended at the Four Seasons Hotel. You know,
I don't know
like,
if everybody knows this,
she
but
has
outside
to.
of New York, teachers don't make much money.
Not really here either.
not,
but,
not
you
even in
know.
New York all that much.
Teachers here do better than teachers anywhere else do.
I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like like how fucked up our paying for our
Yeah, let's not do that.
education system.
Teachers deserve
Especially
more
this
money.
because
End of
well, this was I mean, this is modeled after Northern Chicago, Illinois, because I believe that's where Tina Fey went to school.
Pennsylvania.
I think. Oh, she went to Pennsylvania.
She went to college in Chicago.
She
okay,
that's why
so
she
maybe
I thought
that's
she
what it
was from New Jersey.
No, she
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
No, she was
does
like
Woodard.
wasn't she a
Woodard.
UVA
Pennsylvania.
grad?
She's very vocal about it in both 30 Rock and
Well, that's why she's able to do the
SNL.
water.
Woodard. She does water. She talks about
Water?
water a
Pennsylvania.
lot.
Like, in a lot of these high school movies for me always have this problem of like, you don't see life really outside
Yeah.
of school.
because you're
We
like
don't see home life.
No, not even just home life, but like outside of like the things that, and like going back to American Pie, like what did they have outside of like being home and being perverts and then being in school? They literally just went to like one burger joint.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but high
Yeah, that's
school was
pretty accurate to
my
my
life. Yeah.
like I went to high school. We hung out in a parking lot because I went to high school in Montana, and we hung out in people's basements. Like,
Yep.
Right.
We worked at our parents' restaurant.
Man, I had a fucking job, guys.
I know.
Guess what? Child labor laws don't apply to family members.
I had a friend. We hung out at her house every single day because she had a hot tub.
yeah,
That was
I
where
was
Yeah,
I was at
all right.
school every day until 4 or 5 because I was in either theater or speech.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
That was
no,
real
there's always
cool.
like after
That high school is your
yeah.
entire world. There's no need to go
Yeah.
out.
In high school, I was working at my parents' restaurant basically full time.
Hey, that's apparently in Iowa that's like the new standard. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have 14-year-olds work until 11 p.m. on the on heavy machinery.
So
It's
how
gonna be
excited are
great.
we all about the Mean Girls movie that's coming? The musical.
Oh, are they making
yeah.
a musical out of or a movie out of the
They're making a movie out of the musical, and Tina Fey and Tim Meadows are both going to be in it.
Oh, that's cute. I love it.
That's cute.
I-
I'm for it.
I do like that they've kind of put the kibosh on any kind of sequel.
Oh, because
This is
I
that.
heard there was a sequel, but I don't know how old.
No. There was a lot of talk for years, and including like Tina Fey had talked about it, and Lindsay Lohan had talked about it, and I honestly I think like Amanda Seyfried at some point, and a lot of other people had expressed interest, but I think it's kind of dead.
I may be in the
Like-
minority, but I wouldn't mind a Mean Girls class reunion movie because I think it.
No, the idea
But I mean,
idea
do you
was
just erase all their growth, or are their kids assholes?
no.
Like,
Exactly what it would be was they're the moms now, and
And they go
have
after
to
each other
deal-
as soccer moms. That would.
right, and they have to deal not only with the children being in these kind of cliques, but now you have to deal with like homeowners associations and PTA meetings and
yeah,
like
I'm
that
gonna
kind of stuff.
say no.
And I'm like, that just seems way too convoluted and not nearly as rife for comedy as...
Oh, I disagree.
I mean,
Well, no,
I'd
I
like
think
to
it could be
see-
funny, but I don't particularly care for it.
I mean, what was Tina Fey's sister movie?
Sister?
That-
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what,
I actually like Baby Mama much better.
But even Baby Mama's not. Tina Fey does not have a great track record with movies, but
What? Date night? Come on, that was amazing.
I love Date Night. Date Night was great.
Date Night was great, but Tina Fey didn't write it.
I think she has very specific strengths,
Mhm.
and I don't know if a lot of people know how to utilize that.
I think Tina Fey should be writing for Tina Fey.
You said
Yes.
date night, and I pictured game night, which is another
Oh no!
Different.
Rachel McAdams
Honestly,
movie,
I
which
think
is
she would have done
hilarious.
great in that.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of level of like batshit crazy I think she can do. Because I mean, a lot of the stuff she writes is very weird. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like that. I like.
That's why I
Totally.
like her.
She's a nice,
Yeah.
sweet girl.
And guys, I'm going to see Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Oh wow.
And what?
They're going to be doing a show in Atlantic City, like a one night only. They're doing like 5 stops across the country. There's one in
Cute.
Boston if you guys want to.
Nice.
Excited.
I did want to mention the gentleman who shot this is Darren Okada. He shot. Also, we just talked about Baby Mama. I mentioned Baby Mama. He shot that. He did one of the Harold and Kumar movies. He did Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. He did that really awful car movie with Jeremy Piven, The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard.
I don't even remember that one.
But I also just want to point out he was the director of photography for Phantasm 2, the best Phantasm.
Sure.
The Phantasm movies?
Yeah, the one with like the little silver orb that just goes and stabs people. Yeah, it's great.
Things that matter to Randall.
Yeah, he also shot Captain Ron, which I absolutely love.
I
Captain
love
Ron.
Captain
Weirdly like that
Ron.
movie.
Lead with Captain Ron, Randall.
No, but the connection that I was going to make with Jamie Lee Curtis is he shot Halloween H2O, which is weird.
I think I saw that one.
The editor for this is Wendy Green Brickmont, and she started off on Annie Hall.
Oh, wow.
And ended up
Yeah.
Girl.
I mean,
Well,
I'd
she
rather
also
work
did-
with Tina Fey than Woody Allen, honestly.
She also did Slumber Party Massacre, which is a personal favorite of mine. License to Drive with the Coreys, Kindergarten Cop, My Girl,
Oh, well, there you go.
Junior.
She wins with My Girl.
Yeah, and then she's like Father's Day, 6 Days, 7 Nights, The Sweetest Thing, High Point, Mean Girls, and then she actually does Herbie Fully Loaded with Lindsay Lohan again, and then kind of goes into weird territory.
And
She did Fun Size, and I actually, what's that?
Then Lindsay Lohan ruined it for her too.
All right, so we're talking about so many weird movies.
Yeah,
She did Fun Size. If you guys haven't seen Fun Size, it's actually highly entertaining. Yeah, all right, we're gonna wrap it up. I would say we don't have to talk about it being remade because eventually it's just gonna be.
It's gonna.
It's
next
gonna
year.
be.
Next year it's gonna be.
And I just don't want a sequel, like a direct sequel.
No,
at all.
I agree.
I am very excited for the musical, the movie musical.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like High School, the musical, the TV show, the musical?
No, it's actually just a
So it's kind of like Hairspray.
Oh, you mean like the hair, not the NBC Hairspray.
So it was
the movie.
Hairspray, and then it was a stage play, and then
Yeah.
musical Hairspray.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody loves the
Raymond.
No. Well, yes, thank you, Phil. He's
That was
gonna
good.
love this later when I put that on. But the whole three-way calling thing was
I
another
love
one of
it.
those things that does not exist anymore.
know.
In the sense that you could
Thank God.
right where you can just like hop. But I remember like
Yeah, when
the
you
whole,
would
like,
have
having to,
maybe
like,
a friend
hang
listening
up-
in on the other line. Totally.
right, you have to hang up on one line and then hang up on the other one and like do. And I would do that crossover where like I hung up and I'm like, hey man, and it was like, oh, it's still you. All right, hold on.
So
You'd have to
annoying.
like,
Still.
oh yeah. But like that's again one of those things where it's like it's such a weird like little time capsule to go into where I'm like, oh god, I do remember
Well,
that.
now the version is if you're in the wrong group chat.
Yeah.
Right.
As we
Sorry, wrong thread. Sorry, wrong thread.
Right.
Every group chat.
Yeah, but then you don't
that
get to
like
say, "Boo,
spawns
you
subgroup
whore."
chats.
I have literally, and this is a close friend of mine at work, but I've literally had someone bitch about me to my chat because they were bitching on another chat and got confused.
Yeah. You got to figure out what subgroup chat you're in.
I once texted a boss about their bad attitude because at the same time a text from a coworker came in being like,
Oh, yeah.
what's
Oh,
the
no.
mood today?" And I was like, "Oh, it's bad. Brace yourself. Like it's no good." But I texted it to my boss. What?
That's, I mean, as long as
Yeah.
you say your name, that's fine.
Yeah, you could have been saying the
Yeah,
weather's
I-
bad.
Yeah, my
It-
name
it-
was actually in the chat that was sent to me.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
In order to achieve that effect where it's one continuous shot and everybody's like, because they're shooting separate areas. So what they did is they ramped the frame rate. This is getting really technical, but I do love this effect. So they ramp up the frame rate. So they're shooting at like 2 times normal speed so that they could vary the frame rate depending on everybody's performance.
Oh,
and
that's fun.
It looks seamless.
It's
when
so
it
perfect.
actually is done together.
The reactions are so perfect, especially
just like
as we
Regina
said,
George.
Amanda Seyfried is just flawless.
Like I'm sick.
I'm sick.
Boo, you whore. That was my favorite like goodbye message to everybody.
Boo,
for, like,
you whore.
years. Boo, you whore. But no, watching Regina George like basically house an entire baguette while she's waiting on the other line is fucking hilarious.
Also, Regina George is like, for being so Machiavellian, she's pretty fucking dumb when it comes to like getting tricked with this food. Like,
I think it's just being myopic. So one of the deleted
when
scenes
when she is repeatedly saying, "I just want to lose 3 pounds." 3 pounds is that like perfect amount of I'm perfect. I'm clearly perfect. I don't need to lose anything, but I'm going to say I need to lose 3 pounds so that you can all be like, "Oh, no, you're perfect." You know?
Right. And I love that delay and everybody's just like, what? And then they're like, "Oh no, what are you talking about?" And she's like, "Fuck you." But no, there is a deleted scene where Katie actually ties her bathroom scale so that it hits 112 all the time. So she actually she measures herself constantly, but it always just keeps hitting 112.
Yeah.
She doesn't see it, so she just keeps eating the bars.
Also, god damn it, I hate it. Like,
I know.
As amazingly perfect and skinny and whatever, not that skinniness is a positive
ideal to
positive like personality trait. She's not 112 pounds. She's just not. And I hate them throwing out numbers like that because she's taller than me.
Yeah.
And
that's
all
like
you have
the
to
whole
edit.
Kim Basinger saying I weigh 108. I'm like,
fuck you.
yeah,
No,
if
you
you're,
don't. You're
if
5'10".
you're
There's
4'4",
no way. Your bone structure weighs more than 110 pounds.
Ma'am, you are
Yeah.
5'10". Let's be realistic here.
No way.
Last thing I did want to say is that the soundtrack is still pretty banging. Also, really love that the Donnas are on here. Remember the Donnas?
I love the Donnas.
I like they were the band that should have been bigger.
Yeah,
and
they
never
should've.
did.
I don't remember the Donna.
EC, right?
See also 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Fuck, I love that movie.
yeah.
We're going to do that at some point.
We'll get
Oh
there.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
hate you a little, not even at all.
Yeah, they had like Pink on this. It was
Oh, yeah, they had Pink. Love
also
Pink.
future
Play Around Wednesday.
Lindsay Lohan girlfriend Samantha Ronson. Yeah, they had Bookmat, Katie Rose, Blondie, Peaches. Yeah, just so many,
Peaches, another good band.
so many great stuff.
Peaches is a good band.
Girl power.
They had the Missy Elliott thing. That was the other weird thing. Like the tiny like grade schooler taking her top off
But I
in
think
mimicking.
that was
It's a joke,
commentary. Yeah, that was
right?
commentary.
But
Oh no, that was that
It's so
I
weird.
saw and I was like, somebody called Child Protective
But
Services.
it's
because
the joke
this
is
mom
Amy
does not.
Poehler is such a terrible mother.
right.
She's a terrible mom, but that she's letting her like 5-year-old watch Girls Gone Wild.
Encouraging
You know,
her daughter to emulate those things. That's it's
Yeah.
commentary. It seems
Right.
like Amy Poehler said
Perfect.
in her book in Yes Please, she said something about you never want to be the mom that dresses like she's the kid. Like if you have kids, you don't want to be the mom that dresses like you are a child. So all of that was commentary and not anything that they were encouraging seriously.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
Right. It's just one of those things where it's like, as an aside joke, it was just like, Jesus Christ.
It's still pretty funny. When she's dancing to Milkshake, it's pretty funny.
when she's dancing to Milkshake and she's got like her
Well,
little-
what I really liked about that scene is like it was clearly this little girl that they're just letting dance the way she thinks sexy is dance. Like
yeah,
I appreciate that it is.
yeah.
No one choreographed this for her.
Nope. It's just like let her watch the TV and figure it out.
Well, we all embarrassingly danced.
Oh, totally.
man.
Before
The
we
whole
were old
reason-
enough.
I still embarrassingly dance. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Before we were old enough.
But these moves are not
Oh yeah.
smooth. These are not
The
smooth.
whole
moves.
reason I learned how to, or I chose the saxophone as the instrument to play when I was in grade school, it's the solo from Careless Whispers
Oh my god.
because I knew that was sexy, and I didn't even know what sex was, but I knew what sexy was.
That is
And so in my head, I figured if I learn how to play this, then sex will happen.
that is like one of my
Gay sex, Randall. Gay sex will happen to Careless.
But it was like that. I didn't even know what. It's still sexy.
still sexy.
And I was
Still
just
sexy.
like, oh, so this is what sexy is. I knew that saxophone equaled sexy.
One of my favorite parts of
Glad that for you.
of the Barbie trailer.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite lines is Ryan Gosling as Ken turning to Margot Robbie saying, "I think I should stay over tonight." And she's like, "Why?" Because we're boyfriend girlfriend. And do what?
Actually, I have no idea.
There's just a very long pause. I'm not really sure.
We've moved on.
Just
We're
no
not
idea.
even talking about
Yeah,
movies
we-
that we've
I don't think we-
seen at this point.
Yeah, okay. So like to close this out. Of course, this still holds up. It is a tour de force by everybody who performed in this, and oh my
Yes.
god.
Except maybe
No,
Aaron.
And
Yeah.
even like me, you have only seen it in bits and pieces on TV, and you have your sister very excited about it, and she's like telling you to pay attention the entire time. It's
I
still
was like,
great
you have to
fun.
look at this
It's
part.
really
This part is
enjoyable.
visual. Because there's
Oh,
a
God,
lot
yeah.
of visual
Yeah.
gags.
There's a lot of visual gags. There's a lot of like throwaway asides, and
I was
it's
like, you
worth
gotta
paying
look at this
attention
look.
to.
Look at this.
I mean,
Stop.
this movie has to hold up because it's a third of
True.
Randall's personality.
You have no idea how many times I've just interrupted conversations with, oh my god, Danny Vito, I love your work.
Oh my God, you go, Glenn Coco.
I go with stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not gonna happen. I use that at work.
None for
all the
Gretchen
time.
Wieners is probably the best shutdown.
None
I've
for
ever-
Gretchen
and none for Gretchen
Wieners.
Wieners. Okay, bye.
One for you, and
Yeah,
none for
it
Gretchen
is.
Wieners.
It is, and again, it's a credit to Daniel Francis. It's like, man, him being so adamant about the political ramifications of how you elect your student body, and by the end, him just being completely disillusioned. It's like, these people are going to control your life for the next year, but nobody cares. And it's like,
Totally would have been friends with him in high
yeah,
school.
welcome to the party.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
I definitely had a friend like him in high school, and he told me I had great legs.
Oh, you do.
Thanks.
Now we have to end.
Okay, that's the
Yay.
ender right
I don't know
there.
what song I'm going to end on that.
Acknowledging
Exactly.
Helen's great legs.
Oh,
I was about to say, she's got legs.
there you go. There you go.
And none for Gretchen Wieners. Bye.